I don't know if it's just me, but every time that I watch an episode of Babylon, even if someone isn't being chopped up or we're watching some crazy eye madness, my heart is always racing because I know at any moment something terrible could happen. Just every single time characters are sitting around talking, you'll get those like dagger eyes. You always feel like, or at least I know I do, my heart is like ready to jump out of my chest because I'm like, yep, this is the moment we're gonna all just end, and oh, it actually went okay, thank God. I love that feeling with Babylon. I saw some people say that this episode felt slow, but like, this entire episode, it flew by in 3 minutes to me. I've always appreciated how they've approached storytelling with all three arcs now, and now that we're in the endgame, we have 2 episodes left. It seems like we're gonna have a summit where we have the leaders of basically approving the suicide law, and then of course we're gonna have those probably join in against it, and who knows what that's going to look like. We can definitely tell this is the endgame wits battle, and I'm really excited for it, but I just love the idea of just what they presented here and how every single time you see a character, you're always questioning, should we trust them or should we oppose them? And I've already saw some people, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people saying, oh, I wonder if the president's wife is actually I, and that could be true. I also think maybe that isn't what we should focus on, just because that would be the longest con game in history, because she met him in college before he was even going to be president or even wanting to be president, but at the same time it would be an I fashion to basically raise someone up to be the president to basically destroy the world. But even with that said, I just don't feel like I'm always supposed to focus on, yep, this character can't be trusted or this character can't be trusted. As I remember, the female prosecutor who ended up in a very horrible state in episode 7, a lot of people were saying that has to be I, that's a female, she has to be I because she changes form, and then look what happened to her, right? And for me right now, like, I'm loving the president's wife. Could she become the most evil character in this show? Absolutely. Anything is possible. But, I mean, just seeing that love there and how she basically snapped him out of it and was able to just, in such a romantic and badass way, really get him on his feet to really realize, like, you have a lot of talent. Stop overthinking and just apply yourself. And by the end of the episode, he absolutely does, which I'm just like, that is couple dreams, as long as that isn't actually high. And I love that feeling about Babylon. With the over idea of the president and how he is such a thinker, he's kind of seemingly cracked the code of like, stop thinking about whether suicide is right. Now that he's got a glimpse of this leader and realizing like, let the people decide for themselves, now I can really start thinking for myself. I hope we're going to have an insane battle of wits here with the president and now, of course, Itsuki. I hope that's going to happen because I feel like that would be the best way to end up with this kind of anime concluding. You got that battle of wits and then you got Zen with his newfound gun and just shooting bitches left and right. I feel like that's like the only way that we can end this, and maybe Zen going to an insane asylum or something to that nature. And I'm sure there's going to be those jabs that like, Zen's in America, why did he have to join officially to get a gun? I'm sure there's going to be those jabs, but at the same time, he's from Japan, he can't get a gun in Japan because they're banned and completely illegal. And I don't think having an illegally acquired or even maybe a legally acquired gun outside of like police issued or FBI issued, government issued, I feel like should a foreign guy coming in under the government's request gain a gun without the government's approval, I think that might do more harm than good. So him trying to work his way up to get trusted with like the president and people around him, it does make sense in my mind. And one thing at first I was starting to question, I was like, usually when you would say to your boss, hey, I'm actually just doing this because I want to kill someone, usually that wouldn't go okay and you'd probably be fired if not arrested for that because that's an active threat. But given the situation and how much intel the United States government does have with everything that they've been investigating, seeing just how this law has spread almost like a plague, and the question of morality, should they have it or not, it does make sense to me why the president, especially for how much of a thinker he is, would say, you know what, even though he's going for revenge, I actually think this is the correct solution. As we've already got a taste of the guy threatening to use military force for certain cities, trying to kind of speed by with this law. And we've also seen him do more kind of like saying, hey, let's talk it out, let me show why this logic doesn't make sense. So it does make sense to me to have like one character who is just bent on like rage and killing, but seemingly he's only applying that to a single person, and he hasn't shown any signs of just attacking any and all persons because, oh, that could actually be her. So it does make sense to me, even though there is like kind of voice in the back of my mind, should he have done that? Because even though I love Zen, he's my favorite character in the show, minus, because she's just a wild card, I do think it is obvious why you would want to be skeptical of a guy who's lost so much. I mean, when you get that little flashback of him talking about all that he's lost a ton and he's clearly unhinged. But at the same time, with the speed of which this is happening, Germany, UK, Canada, United States to some degree, like there is so many countries just with a snap of a finger, things are changing and that never happens. When that happens, it usually means a shift in the general principles and morality of the world, laws are changing, maybe rulership will also be changing, it does make sense to have something that is kind of just doing that, charging him, not really thinking about things too logically, but just has a clear objective, and maybe that objective will lead you to your conclusion, and you can possibly stop him before he does anything too wrong. I do like the idea of family in this episode, though. I mean, he takes a look at the president's son, and then, of course, they share pictures and things like that, and just the idea that Zen wants to become something that he is hunting, like, just cold-blooded murder is not who Zen was. Just look at him in episode 1, but after everything that's happened, it's understandable why his character has gone to that point. And I like how the president isn't even just saying, you know, you gotta go back to your family, so just drop the gun, things like that. He's saying, do what you gotta do, but make sure you go back to your family. Because he understands the value of family. I doubt the president would be where he is if he didn't have his wife and kid right now. And I really like that. I think there's just like these values and how they're actually bringing up religion without kind of like shoving it down your throat with like these religious undertones. A lot of times when the character has beliefs in anime, it kind of feels like that's all they have going for them. But you can look at the president and yeah, he's clearly a religious fellow, but he's not some religious lunatic who just looks to the Bible and says, that's all I have to obey. He's just very curious about it because obviously his religion matters to him, but he's questioning. The Bible doesn't technically say not to kill yourself, but it does say do not kill. And then they bring up pretty much there's really only 2 things you have to follow. So it kind of takes precedent over not killing yourself. And I mean, when you have a character like I who almost feels like the embodiment of the devil and just all of humanity's sins, it almost makes sense that you have like your endgame characters heavily religious and just doing some crazy things with that. Because I don't look at the president and say that's all his character is, religious. That's clearly something that's important to him and just the government in general, but I do appreciate how his character, the reason why I think a lot of people are interested, of course he's got that gamer quirk, we love that, he's the gamer guy with the hot wife, people are gonna love that about his character, but it is his strategic thinking and how he doesn't jump to conclusions, he really does use his brain, and I think that's an important character to have side by side with Zen, who's kind of lost his mind. And they even bring up the point that, hey, when he had that recording that was messing with his mind, only Zen was affected. Like, there is so much we don't know about this girl and how she operates, and I think going into this summit, knowing that this is pretty much the final confrontation, whether the world adopts this law in its entirety or not, remains to be seen. But still, there's a lot we don't know that's going to happen, and I think the foundation of this world is going to change no matter what. Whether the suicide law gets completely shut down or not remains to be seen, but all I know is having the president finally wake up being like, I realize what I need to do. I still don't even know what he completely wants to do, but based on all his advisors and people that work alongside him, this is the moment they've been waiting for, where he finds the answer that they couldn't see. And I really hope to see something crazy. Even if he joins Itsuki's side, I just want to see something, some insane mind battles, chess piece manipulation. And I think that's what we're gonna get. I mean, one of the highlights of this episode had to be that moment with the girl who lost her mother, and how she was basically told that it was okay to do it, and then she jumps and ends her life. But then we learn she wasn't like told it's okay to do it, but she was just saying like death is inevitable, and like basic piece of advice, but given to a girl who just lost her mother, takes that into consideration with the world around her, and then we see what happens. And it's like, every time something like this happens, it can be a mindless character, we have no idea who they are, we just met them, things like that, it leads you to that bigger question about what this world is shaping into and what is the true purpose of letting people end their life. Like, is it clearly you just want to exterminate humanity, or is there some weird, more religious undertone going for it? The reason I've loved this anime since episode 1 is that it is a slow burn. There are obviously moments where it's supposed to keep your jaw on the floor and you can't pick it up, and it takes months to kind of heal from that. But at the same time, this is a show that's built around the concept of political language and trying to show you something on a large political scale, and should something like this happen to the speed that it's happening, I'm sure many countries would act the same, both as a skeptic and also an avid supporter. And that's what I really appreciate about this, and for those calling it a slow episode, I don't see that. I feel like it is just as intriguing as episode 7 to me, because yeah, there's different enjoyment factors for those episodes, but just having a character who's been so isolated and broken, and you can really tell the determination in his eyes, and how he realizes that he's pushing his family away, but at the same time, he doesn't believe his family is safe as long as she's alive, so he's willing to toss away his own happiness for them. It's an extremely engaging and emotional plotline that I love every single time it pops up. And just to see how much they've made me like the president could become a complete scumbag by the end of this, and I'm still going to appreciate what his character arc represented, but I'm still really interested to see what his solution will be and what that summit will look like. Last time this man took the stage by himself, he pretty much convinced the mass media that, oh, look at me, I was going to end my life, but now that I have the choice, my son won't have to lose his father. now that you got the president probably going to be kicking down the doors and kind of crashing the party in his own nerdy way, I think that's going to be a really intriguing battle of wits, and who knows what our man's going to do now that he's going to have a police-issued gun. Like, what is that going to look like? I don't know, but all I know, the end game is here, and I think the final 2 episodes are going to be an absolute blast. So yes, I once again love Babylon. In a lot of ways, it's still my favorite show that I watch. 2 seasons in a row, and it only has like 5 episodes in this season, but I love it that much. What did everyone think? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Theory, speculation, please no spoilers if you do know the source material. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy, and be sure to subscribe if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.